Attention all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
General Blaine Holt, how are you this morning?
Hey, good morning. It's been quite a wild week. I'm doing
Oh my
great.
God! I'm waiting for all these commercials to get finished, etc., etc., etc. We are having a very large discussion this morning. America under attack, and that we're under attack in so many directions. We're under attack. Drug-wise, they're feeding drugs to our kids and other Americans. They are trying to cook our elections, etc., etc. I mean, you've been around for a while. You have the pulse of the situation. What do you say about all this?
Okay, you got to roll it all up into what is a global or world war. That's what this is. And how I would define this war, and it gets to all the things that you're talking about. It's the sovereigntists, which would be indicative of traditional American values that our forefathers and our founders had in mind for this nation, versus the globalists. And the globalists come with other dark names that are probably more descriptive: Marxism, socialism. They want the one world government. They want the corporatists all involved. They want to decide your lives for you. And they have many different legions and armies around the world. And some of those are hatched via those that would go cook your elections, those that would go buy off your politicians, those that would pay protesters to get out there and disrupt the American way of life. And eventually it leads to a place we've seen in history time and time again, and that is violence. And we're seeing it around the world and in the United States.
General Blaine Holt, let's talk about the different theaters in this war, because we've talked about them. It's not just one theater is global terrorism. Terrorism is one way. It's more of a conventional way. People thought that was the new way, but there's also fentanyl. There's also the financial attacks coming against whether it's cyber hacking, whether it's the money laundering that's going into our campaigns. And we were talking to KT McFarland in the last hour about, swimming in different lanes. But to me, ultimately, this is about homeland security. This is about defense. And I do think that the military it plays a bigger role in it than people realize. I mean, just look at all these boats from Venezuela or other countries that were bringing in drugs to this country that now have become part of the military's purview, bombing those, which everyone in this room supports. This is a changing world, but it is a multi-theater, multi-front war, isn't it?
It really is. But again, all these tentacles lead to exactly the same place. Your example on fentanyl. Fentanyl is not a new game. Fentanyl is just a rehash of the opium war that the British waged against the Chinese after the fall of the Qing dynasty in the 1800s. They just dusted off the old playbook. Wait a minute. That intelligence service goes all the way to the founding of MI6. MI6 then spawns the CIA. So what I would tell you is you tell me what the theater is, and I'm going to draw a line, whether it's from Beijing or whether it's from cooked intelligence agencies, whether it's from bought-off politicians, all the way to London. And I don't mean the town of London where people go get their fish and chips. I'm talking about the city of London, the financialists, those who have manipulated and tried to control this planet, basically in one incarnation or another since the fall of Rome. President Trump knows this. He is waging this war against them. And whether it's Operation Gladio that was cooked up from Alan Dulles and the CIA, all that stuff just evolved into where exactly we are in a fifth-generation warfare environment with technological tools that would make your head spin.
Well, let's talk about the technological tools, because this is an issue right now for the Defense Department. We just had this whole issue with Anthropic, this AI company, which was promising that it wouldn't help in anything that it didn't find politically amenable to that company. In other words, they have a bunch of lefty people working there, computer programmers, AI programmers, and Anthropic now, they're trying to work them out so they can maybe work with the Pentagon again. But, we need these people in the tech world to help our Defense Department fight the modern wars, but maybe we can't trust the people working in these companies. I mean, this is a huge problem.
It is. And even the ones, I could list a whole bunch of companies and you would say, well, they seem pretty trustworthy. And I would tell you, oh, no, they're not. And here's the problem. Let's get back to Alinsky's rules for radicals. The education unions should be patting themselves on the back because you can't have Marxism and communism and legions of infiltrators inside all of these companies without cooking the education system and co-opting it. And that's where this begins. And then get to the leadership, what I would call their junior managers. They're junior managers, the CEOs of these AI companies. And just listen to their words. They believe in absolute surveillance state. They believe in central bank digital currency. They believe in it's okay to be on contract with the Pentagon. And if you don't like the policy, turning the switch off, cooking the information, changing it out. And then you've got the corruption class, which is only too happy to profit from all of it and will stand up and boldly on C-SPAN defend every ounce of it. And so what we have to do is we better get to a season of accountability in this country and find out who is an American and who is on very, very shaky ground with that proposition. And some of the names would, I think, surprise everybody boldly when you lifted the veils. But I think that day is coming.
How does this, though, play out in some of the individual states? You know, President Trump is, like President Reagan, still hoping to rebuild and strengthen our military, and that means local jobs for people. You know, that people remember the Los Angeles class submarine. It wasn't called that because they were rooting for the Rams. It was because it was built in Orange County. You know, that area. You know, this still is that the antidote to what you were just talking about? We start building things in Alabama and Louisiana and in places in this country where people still love this country.
That is where the front lines are, actually. The swamp likes to pat themselves on the back and think that they're the panopticon and the all-knowing, all-seeing. But the tentacles of the globalists go right on down to Main Street and have for some time now. It gets down to the granularity of we're co-opting your library board and putting porn in there for your kids to go look at. That's not because they believe in porn. It's because they believe in control and co-opting American communities. You have two prominent companies. I'm not going to say who they are, but we pretty much all know who they are, that are putting up cameras on every street corner in Main Street America, that they're using AI systems to do pre-crime prediction, that they're enabling their sheriff's departments to go after hardworking Americans. Now, if you think this isn't a problem, and I know you do, but if you think this isn't a problem, all you got to do is pull up the crystal ball called the United Kingdom and look at what's going on in London right now with the government's absolute war on the British peoples. The same thing is happening in Ireland. Ireland is at the brink of a civil war. So is the UK. So are 5 other countries in Europe. So what do we have in common? Well, this is Western civilization. And why are we so far behind the curve? Well, a couple of things. We still have a Constitution, a Second Amendment, and President Trump fully understands the battle space and what he's up against. But this is the battle for America, and it's happening on Main Street, most important battlefield of all.
Well, I mean, let's divert to Iran. We talked about America. Give us your pulse of what's going on in Lebanon and Iran for all Americans to listen to this morning.
Well, so in the region, which is part of this bigger fight, but in the region, we have a really, really good news this morning, which is, okay, the Iranians threw a drone at a ship, and luckily it didn't sink the ship, the Singaporean carrier. They're releasing information this morning. They did so because they want to reiterate to Oman that they're in control of the straits, not Oman, who let that ship have authorization. President Trump's position is, no, neither of you are in control of the straits. By the way, that gets to Lloyd's of London and them using their surrogates to control that traffic. But in Lebanon, we also see great promise because the Israelis are coming much more into alignment with President Trump's vision of how to solve this. And we are seeing that the Lebanese are now standing up and getting their army ready to be vetted, fortified, trained, and work along the Israelis. And the two states each get something out of it. You get the sovereignty for the Lebanese, and you get the Israelis with their security needs respected. And because of the cooperation, we're on our way to the Abraham Accords. And that's the same way it's going to be with the Gulf states working with the free Iran that I do believe will come once the IRGC is eradicated.